Today I'll be sharing with you real-life audio recordings from World War I and II. From recordings directly on the battlefields to secret recordings of evil dictators. Let's talk about this and more only in today's video. Starting off this countdown, we have the gas attack. Just before the end of World War I, sound recordist William Gaisberg decided to take his recording equipment to the Western Front in order to capture the sounds of war. He managed to capture a gas shell bombardment.
Right.
So what you're hearing is the British artillery shelling German lines with poison gas. You hear an explosive blasting out of a compressed air chamber. That's what the bang and then the wheezing sound is. In the canisters were the toxic gases. Within weeks of this recording, William got sick and passed away. They blamed it on the Spanish flu, but it might have been due to the fact that he was exposed to the toxic gas. On top of that, most of the men involved in this attack died from the gas exposure as well. In our 9th spot, we have the Battle of Kwajalein. This recording captures the US Marines fighting Japanese troops during the Battle of Kwajalein in 1944. It was recorded by Fred Welker and Keen Hepburn. You can hear actual gunshots and fires in this recording as the narrator records firsthand what he is witnessing.
Can you hear that sound? Those, my friends, are bullets.
Imagine being in his shoes, witnessing this battle firsthand, having bullets whiz around you. Eventually, it gets really dark.
A lot of fire, but they're going in. They're not stopping for anything.
You hear that? He says, "There's a lot of fire, but the soldiers are still going in." He continued on saying, and I quote, "Our boys are running across. Haven't seen any of them come back yet. Perhaps a few casualties." Must have been horrifying to experience. In our 8th spot, we have the Lancaster bombing raid. On the night of September 3rd, 1943, a Lancaster bomber headed out to bomb Berlin. On board the plane was BBC journalist Winford Vaught Thomas and sound engineer Reg Pidsley. They didn't have a guarantee that they would return, but they were determined to record the bombing firsthand. The next night, it was broadcast on British radio.
Steady. 25. Bombs away. There goes the cookie. Lucky. Oh, we got lucky going over there.
What's even crazier is that BBC recreated the Lancaster bomber plane and used this recording to make a VR immersive experience. You're seated in a plane and you can look all around you as you witness the bombing firsthand. Apparently, this has been called the most beautiful, horrible sight ever seen. Moving on to number 7, we have the Battle of Peleliu. This is an audio recording of John Cooper, an NBC war correspondent. He is reporting from a US Navy cruiser during the Battle of Peleliu on September 22nd, 1944.
Now general quarters has just sounded. The crew is running to their battle stations, and in just a few minutes we will start firing. We will start the final bombardment of the beaches before the troops go in.
I can't imagine staying that calm watching the horror of war unfold right in front of me.
The men are out on the beach and have gone forward through that fringe of trees into the interior. Although I've seen several splashes, I have not seen any boats hit or sunk.
Like, he literally said there's a warship behind him firing at them, yet he remains calm and manages to keep reporting. What a brave man. Moving on to number 6, we have the secret speech. In November of 1939, a Swiss journal published a speech that was apparently delivered by Joseph Stalin in secret, although he denied these claims. The speech was apparently delivered to members of the Politburo, and he told them how they could benefit with their friendship with Nazi Germany. And he shared and justified his strategy to promote military conflict in Europe. As I said, this speech was delivered in secret, so I don't have a recording of it, but I do have a transcript from the reconstruction of the speech.
Comrades, it is in the interest of the USSR, the workers' homeland, that a war breaks out between the Reich and the capitalist Anglo-French bloc. It is imperative that we agree to conclude the pact proposed by Germany, and then work in such a way that this war, once it is declared, will be prolonged maximally. we must strengthen our economic and propaganda work in the belligerent countries.
Of course, there is much debate on this speech. Did he actually deliver it? Well, Soviet Special Archives suggest that he did. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Operation Upshot, Knothole. Operation Upshot Knothole was a series of 11 nuclear tests done by the US military in a Nevada test site. It's believed that around 21,000 soldiers took part in training during these tests. This was all done to try and prepare the military for atomic war. In fact, this was the first time a nuclear artillery shell was ever tested. This recording is from 1953 from the Nevada test site. It's one of the few publicly available recordings of a nuclear explosion. As I said, there were a total of 11 nuclear tests done by the US military. 3 airdrops, 7 tower tests, and 1 airburst. This was the recording of the airburst. In our 4th spot, we have the surrender of Japan. Following the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, Japan's Emperor Hirohito made a broadcast saying that they were going to surrender. This was the very first time that the Japanese emperor addressed his subjects in such manner. So the recording was broadcast on August 15th, 1945, but was actually recorded a day earlier. Microphones were set up in an office bunker under the Imperial Household Ministry where the emperor recorded his speech. It was then played on a phonograph record and broadcast for all to hear. But the Imperial Japanese Army was extremely opposed to the idea of surrendering. They found it dishonorable. So 1,000 or more officers and soldiers raided the Imperial Palace to try and destroy the recording or prevent the recording from happening. In fact, some Japanese generals tried to kidnap the emperor to keep the war going, which failed, and the emperor still managed to sneak the recording out and give it to broadcasters.
秦は帝国征服をして米英蘇四国に対しその共同宣言を
After this broadcast, a number of Japanese Army and Navy officers took their lives. They said they'd rather die than surrender. Coming in at number 3, we have D-Day. This next recording was taken from the Battle of Normandy. The battle began on June 6, 1944, also known as D-Day. This was the largest naval air and land operation in history. But as many of you know, D-Day was a very bloody battle. The first wave of troops that landed suffered terrible losses. In particular, the US troops at Omaha Beach and the Canadians at Juno Beach. This recording was taken on D-Day at Sword Beach by English presenter Alan Melville.
Hello everyone, this is Alan Melville speaking from the beach just west of the little village of Ouistreham. The paratroops are landing. They're landing all around me as I speak. They've come in from the sea and they're fluttering down, red, white and blue parachutes fluttering down, and they're just about the best thing that we've seen for a good many hours.
It's very scary how you can hear the gunfires going off in the background. Just imagine what Alan was seeing as he was recording this. Again, it's insane to me how all these recorders managed to stay calm.
I can still see the signs of a typical Panther battle. You can hear the aircraft roaring over me, I expect, as I speak.
Moving on to number 2, we have Adolf Hitler. This is the only known recording of Hitler speaking in an unofficial tone. It was taken in 1942 when he visited Finland under extreme secrecy. The purpose of this trip was to wish Field Marshal Karl Mannerheim on his 75th birthday. He was also invited for a private meal on board of Mannerheim's train to talk about negotiations. What he didn't know is that the train had a microphone placed there by Thor Damon, a sound engineer. He managed to capture the first 11 minutes of their private conversation without the dictator's knowledge.
Wir wussten das selber auch nicht so ganz genau, wie ungeheuerlich diese starken Rüstungen.
Like I said, this is the only recording of him in which we hear him talking casually without authority in his voice. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Operation Wandering Soul, otherwise known as Ghost Tape number 10, and it is just as eerie as its name is. This recording was played loud on speakers outside of US bases during the Vietnam War. The main goal was to scare away and taunt the enemies. The tape starts off playing funeral music, and then you can hear a bunch of ghosts wailing. Then you can hear other eerie voices. the young voice wants their daddy to come home, and then the dad replies saying that his body is gone and that he is dead. It is a Vietnamese belief that if the dead aren't buried in their homeland, then their souls will wander around in pain and suffering. So this tape was supposed to be the voices of their dead comrades wandering around. Like I said, this was blasted to try and scare and discourage enemies. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let's move quickly along to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video Top 10 Strange Disappearances of 2021 that make no sense. Team Mystic commented, "You guys should do more like this because you have so many viewers, that would help a lot." Honestly, that's why I included like how you can get in contact with people if you know any information about the case, because like obviously we want these people found, you know? Vlad the Impaler commented, "Lindsay, what is it like living on Venus? Do the cows roam freely and produce strawberry milk?" Okay there, bud. Venus? Cool. Cows? Love cows. Strawberry milk? That's artificial. Nice try. And Jasmine Sellers commented, "I appreciate the information presented in this video, and baby, your hair is beautiful." Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You're beautiful, and this comment is beautiful. Love you. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya.